why do I think white people want all the control? Because it gives them all the advantages, and all the wealth and the influence that comes with the control. I mean, it kind of makes sense. If you look at the different groups of people as, bless you, if you look at the different groups of people as like in a competition, and the goal is to win or be the most influential or be the most wealthy, then I understand why white people in white institutions would control and limit the amount of power black people can develop. Because it's basically a competition in their eyes. Now, I believe that, you know, it doesn't have to be a competition. It can be more a cooperative thing where you do your thing, I do my thing, and you don't have to limit what I can do. But that's apparently not how white people or Europeans think. Historically, they tend to think of existence as a competition, and they want to win. So if they can create advantages, that's what they do. And unfortunately, we haven't realized that that's what's going on, or we're too afraid of it to challenge it.
In my opinion, the economy is what keeps white people in control. Everything starts with money. To me, nothing is free. So if you can kind of blacklist all the influential males in the black community, then you've taken all the money out of the community. When there's no more money left in the community, that's where people get that mentality of, oh, I have to do what I have to do to provide for my family. Black on black violence is a lot of things that it's economically rooted to me. So the more money, the more power. Money is power. It's always been like that, and it's going to stay like that. So if males in the black community, or females for that matter, in the black community can't get out and provide for their family, or, you know, do the certain things that they want to do economically, then that's what opens the door to a whole other world of problems.
I think white people contain control over black people because they're a dominating force. Like, you go in a work society, it's a white CEO. You don't see too many black CEOs, and then you don't see too many black bosses and black-owned businesses, especially in the Detroit urban area. So I think white people has type of a leash on black people. Like, they control everything they do. They control healthcare. They control the housing, the economy, the housing market, and everything. So I think white people is a dominating force in white people.
Since the arrival of the first African slaves in Jamestown, Virginia, the systematic way of slavery in this country, as black men were seen as property and seen as servants for perpetual servitude, this was a systematic process in America. As far as the systematic process in America that we're dealing with currently in society, society is set up for black men to fail. Hence, the issue of incarcerated black males in our country. There are more prisons across America, state and federal penitentiaries, than we have institutions of learning. That right there within itself, the playing field is not level between blacks, whites, and all non-white groups in America. There's a disproportionate number of minorities who are disenfranchised socially, economically, politically, educationally, all across the board, and this has to be addressed within our community in regards to information, knowledge, cognizance, awareness, everything wholeheartedly, and everything is geared towards the complete and total re-education of our people. And it starts from historical context. When we teach our children our history, our culture, the traditions, customs, and values that have carried us for generations, I think at that point that we understand who we are, we understand our purpose, so that we do have a purpose, and we must instill these values in our children. And very critical today in 2011 that we set the precedence of higher learning, higher education, and reconnect and affirm our position in society, because at this very, very moment we are in a crisis. We need an immediate change, and all call to actions, all hands on deck, all facets involved in regards to re-educating our children. The systematic disenfranchisement of all minorities, not just black males, but Hispanics and all those who are suffering a lack of socioeconomic, political awareness. These needs to be addressed, and the entities that are currently in place as far as the penal system, they need to be addressed through positive, productive, aggressive legislation at all levels, city, state, and at the national level, to fight these very entities that continue to oppress our people.
Well, again, like, if we don't have any proper examples of manhood, then we're vulnerable to whatever examples you give us. And if you look at a lot of our media, like our rap, our music, our videos, a lot of those people have feminine traits. And sometimes it's not obvious. Like, you know, and this is kind of, I don't know, it's like sometimes you'll have like longer hair, you know, like real long hair. And you're like, well, why you got really long hair? You know, or, you know, because that's like a feminine thing. And then like on a different level, we're not like aggressive towards anybody. Like, we don't want to fight anybody for anything unless it's ourselves. And being a man traditionally means you're a warrior who protects whoever you're responsible for. And we don't do that anymore. And a lot of people probably don't think about it, but that's an effeminizing situation where you take the role of a man and you remove it, or you diminish it, or you discourage it, then that's part of effeminization. Another traditional role of manhood has been to be a provider, you know, economically. But if you limit a man's ability to be that provider, then you're basically effeminizing them or emasculating them, or however you want to call it. So all of these result in more feminine dudes. And that's just, you know, on that level. There's another level where you actually have dudes who do a lot of feminine stuff or even gay stuff. And that's because of a lot of insecurity with their own manhood. So you have a lot of different stuff going on.
Again, to me, everything goes back to economics. If you can't provide for your family, then you really can't do anything in the black community. Well, that's what black males see. And not being able to, like I said, go home and be the breadwinner and bring home the bacon every day kind of adds to that, maybe that loss of manhood, the loss of the manhood feeling. Maybe they feel like they can't be a man, they can't stand up in society and do certain things and provide certain things for their family. So that really does play a role. And it goes back to men relying on sex to make them feel like, you know, a man all over again. That adds to femininity, because if you can't bring home the bacon like a man is supposed to, then what other role do you have to play in a family setting? What, the female? Or it's either the female or the child. So I guess that's where it comes from.
I think white people make black men feel feminine to racism, because a white person, he'll make a black man feel like, oh, he's just a, you know, other black man, you know, has no job, he doesn't take care of his children, you know, he's probably stealing somewhere. So I think they oppress them, like they keep them down, like they can't, like a white man says, oh, you can't say this or you can't do that. So I think they also say, like, you can't get a job here because, you know, you're not educated, you didn't finish high school, or you never went to high school. So that's how I think they do it.
A wise man once said, a man can't stand on an upright back. Black men have to, in this day and age, continue to rise and continue to be the strong Australopithecus, Africanus black men that we have always been since the beginning of time. Currently, at this very moment, there has been a systematic change where now society has elevated through perseverance, through struggle, through oppression. Society has elevated, along with her own power, has elevated the black woman to a very, very powerful stage in this very, very society. I say that to say our black women are graduating colleges and universities 12 times more than our black men. So the message here is clear that there is a systematic division between black men and black women, which trickles down to the the socioeconomic and the psychological, if you will, a mentality now, specifically with our young sisters. I have noticed that our sisters now are more so turning towards independency or the same gender as opposed to working with our black men, which has evolved by way of society, which has evolved by way of disfranchisement, which has evolved by way of lack of opportunity. However, our black men, that we must rise. It's not over, and we must affirm our position and to really, really, really speak to the heart and root of these issues. We need to start with, again, affirming that our young males, and specifically our young males in elementary and our middle schools across America, that they are strong. When I say strong, I don't mean a physical strength. I mean a mental and a spiritual strength that really, really, really predates our current day and our experience. They need to be taught that at one time the black man ruled the world. We are masters of sciences. We are masters of mathematics. We are masters of astrology, astronomy. We are the original thinkers. We are the original rulers and leaders of this world. Until we address this issue and to reteach and to really, really, really take pride and value our boys and raise them to a high level of accountability. Accountability. If they're wrong, if they step in the wrong direction in society and they really, 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 really allow themselves a situation that they have created for themselves, we need to hold them accountable. I do believe in do the crime, do the time. However, what needs to also occur is continuous resources for our young males. There aren't any resources for our young males as far as recreation, as far as education, as far as mentoring, volunteering. So a lot of our young males choose a life of crime, a life of just taking risk that really, really, really ultimately set them up for failure. It's almost like a mousetrap. Society is like a mousetrap for black men. The traps are already set all around them. Society is just sprinkling, laying down the cheese, drugs, the hood, the block, the women. All of these are really, really, really issues that our males are not only facing, but they are overwhelmed with these issues in addition to society. Different things that are going on around them, overwhelmed with entertainment, technology, social networks that ultimately do not increase their consciousness but allows them to be manipulated by the devil's workshop. However, I'm very optimistic that our brothers will continue to rise and continue to fight these societal barriers. And as I stated previously, this is an all call to all men of all families, of all cultures, but specifically with African American men. This is a call to grandfathers, to uncles, to fathers, to brothers, to big cousins, to mama boyfriends, to whomever can allow themselves to give time to reach one black male. I take this personal. I am a father. I have two sons, ages 15 and 14. I have a daughter who is 9. And I know the need for black males as far as being a positive example and role models to our people. So with that said, I hope that our brothers will continue to press forward and to continue to be the leaders that we are born and destined to be.